What's up, Grizzlies, and welcome back to your bi-weekly video magazine. I'm your anchor, Umi, and are you interested in a fall sport? Do you think tennis is an easy sport to play? Well, the varsity tennis players would disagree. Here's Travis Dumas' look into the varsity tennis team.
Originally it was my girlfriend, but then I actually loved doing the sport, so I continued doing it.
Miss Felice got me into doing tennis last year. She kind of like bugged me about it. Decided to try it.
Well, if you've ever met Miss Felice, she's a very persuasive woman. She encouraged me to come out, so I came out and I tried it. I liked it. Had a full advisory. She made me come every day, and it kind of stuck.
Tennis. Okay, so a lot of people told me like I should play tennis, and so it was my senior year, and I thought I'd just come out, play, get the experience.
The competition is pretty nice, especially when you play wide field. Intense.
Yeah, I like the competitiveness of it. I like the challenge, stuff like that. Well, I'm a singles player, so basically it's just me against an opponent, and I like that because if I lose or I win, I know it's just because all on me.
The main thing I like doing about tennis is definitely practices. It's very relaxing, being able to just like hit around the balls, not without the competitive aspect. Very just good exercise.
Favorite thing? Beating those opponents.
It's very difficult. A lot of people think it's probably easy, like you just swing a racket. It's not easy.
It's more or less what you make of it. You can make it fun, and it can be bad. If you show up to practice every day and you just do what you do, work hard, stuff like that, then it can be really fun. But if you have like a bad attitude about it, then it's not always as fun.
Lots of running. Lots of being tired, but still having to push yourself really hard to get to those balls, get those returns, get those serves in.
At first it's a little timid because there's better players than you, but you can become very good.
Yes, I dare all of you guys.
I think everyone should try it. It's like a stereotype that it's like easy, it's not fun, stuff like that, but I love it. I came into playing tennis with the same exact stereotype, and now it's like one of my favorite sports.
People should most definitely come out to play tennis. It's very fun, very relaxing once you really get into it. A lot of people like to say, oh, it's tennis, nobody cares about tennis. It's really fun, it really is. We get to go out to eat sometimes after games. The away games are really fun.
Of course, but tennis is so fun and it's so chill. Like your practices are so fun, and it's just a good thing to do.
Break a leg. The show is this weekend, and we have a fun little sneak peek of the romantic comedy. it like to be involved in the fun world of drama? From building the set for the stage to rehearsing lines or getting into costume, these drama students put on a show. Natalie Dill has a peek behind the curtain.
It started in 7th grade. My drama teacher, Miss Timms, she placed me as the lead in the play Zombio and Juliet. Imagine what that's like with the name. It was really fun, actually. I learned a lot from that class, and it made me want to continue drama.
Drama was sort of a thing I've always done as a kid. For journal entries in elementary school, I always wrote little plays for the class. They were terrible because I had to fit all 30 of us in one little play. But it was overall fun.
I'm gonna state my name, Janelle Joyner, Janelle Joyner. The thing that made me first want to do drama was in middle school. I actually started a drama club, and I loved it when I was in middle school. So when I got to high school, I decided to try a drama class, and then I ended up doing my first musical.
Oh. Yeah. Well, good for you getting yourself out there again.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, well, actually, Jimmy, it's more than just getting myself out there and moving on. This is my bachelorette party.
Yeah,
I'm getting married.
future blow.
I am Ronald Sides, RONALD SIDES. Elementary school time, where like every season the music department would put on these performances for like Christmas or spring. I was Frosty the Snowman at one point, dancing around with a little broom and a giant Frosty Snowman outfit. And then in 5th grade, I took part in my school's production of A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare, and I was one of the leads.
An actor? Yes, already an actor actually. I'm currently with a company named John Casablancas, an acting and modeling agency. So I've done a couple pieces so far.
I don't really want to be an actress professionally, but I do still love theater, and I would still want to stay in the scene, so I would do something that has to do with acting or writing or something like that.
I have considered acting, nothing ever professionally, because like it's such a hard like market to get into. And it's so hard to get into that very, very few people ever do. And so I would probably stick with like community theater if I were ever to continue acting into my adult life. At college, I feel like I'm definitely going to go to some community theater.
I think like everyone has the ability to act. It's just a matter of like, are you able to be on stage, like, you know, have that stage presence.
Somebody's a good actor if they can, go up on stage and you don't know they're acting. It just looks like you're watching their life. Like if you make the audience feel like a stalker watching your life, then you're a good actor.
I guess like believing their character. So if you aren't convinced that you are that character, then you're probably not gonna act it convincingly. So it's all about believing that you are that character and then incorporating that into your acting.
I feel like it's something that makes someone a good actor is being able to convey emotion and be expressive to a higher degree. It's also the reason why people on stage, including males, wear makeup to define like their eyes or their lips, is because when you're on the stage and the audience is sitting in seats like several yards away, it is very hard to get those features without those definitions. The same thing goes with acting. If you can really be expressive and convey emotion to people that are several yards away from you, the same as if it's a very intimate scene with someone right next to you, I feel like that makes someone a good actor.
Memorizing lines, I think that's the easiest part, to be honest. I don't know, that's just how my brain works. It's easy for me to memorize. And getting in the costume, quick changes are they're rough, to be honest. But it's fun. It's fun dressing up as someone else.
Honestly, getting into costume, one time I, played two characters in the exact same scene, so I had to get dressed and undressed fast. there's 2 people dressing me at the same time, including myself. So I'm putting on pants, somebody's putting on a jacket, somebody's changing my hairstyle, and I jumped right back into the scene as a completely different person.
Lines, depending on how many you have, it can be very difficult. So it's good to start early. I've procrastinated a little bit with that sometimes, but just start earlier. And then with costumes, it's really fun. If it's a complicated costume where you have a lot of costume changes, that's when it gets difficult. But it's also like a lot of fun. You get to embody a different character just with an outfit change.
With lines, a lot of people, they look, especially like people with bigger parts, they look at the lines and go, oh my god, this is so many. But once you start getting in the groove, at least for me, once you start getting into the groove, it gets substantially easier. I'm the same way with music. I look at music to memorize. I'm like, oh my god, this is so much. And then in like a weekend or maybe a week, I have it down. Same thing with lines. I can memorize lines very easily just because you just get in the groove of just memorizing lines and picking up on cues. Costumes are hilarious because I've had moments where I've had to be in a full suit at one point and then run off stage, change out of that suit, put on a different shirt, and come back before the scene is over. It's kind of funny. It's so fun to do. It's just such a rush. But once you rehearse it enough time, it just becomes routine.
Allowed me to be more like socially active, if you know what I mean. Allows me to like be an extrovert.
Did me in quite a few different ways. I met a lot of cool people. Some I'm still in contact with. And it's just something that's always been there in my life, and if it was taken out, that's a big portion of my life just gone.
Discovered yet because I was always like a shy kid that didn't get out there much. So when I found love in the stage and acting, then that's when I kind of changed and came more out of my shell.
The way it's impacted me is that it's allowed me to meet some very good friends that I wouldn't have met otherwise. I have different friends, whether I played video games with them, or I'm in band with them, or I'm in AP classes with them. But being in drama has allowed me to get to find some new friends like Janelle or Naomi or Alex or AJ, and it's just a different community that I am proud to be involved in.
Sorry, we don't have Coke. Is Pepsi okay? No, it's not okay. Coke or Pepsi, which is to choose. The battle between soda giants is far from over, and with more being made, it's time to pick a side. Emma Acevedo took the plunge to see which of these soft drinks dominates our school.
I prefer Coca-Cola, okay, much better than Pepsi. At the least, I drink 3 Cokes a day, but at the most, I drink 5. Coke has a much better taste to me. When I try Pepsi, it tastes awful. Okay, I can tell the difference, so when you try to swap them out, I hate you. But other than that, I don't think there's too much of a difference. Also, red's better than blue. If they're my friends, I will judge them, friends. But if not, I don't know, it doesn't really matter, I mean, Coke's better, but you have the right to your own weird opinions. Drink more Coke. It's totally good for you. Look at me.
Coke. Like every couple weeks. Pepsi is flat, Coke is not. Okay?
Do you judge those who drink
Yes.
Pepsi? Yeah.
Yes, very much. Pepsi's trash. That is it.
I'm a very strong advocate for Pepsi. Twice a week, maybe. Honestly, with Coke, you just get, it's like super sweet, too sweet. Pepsi kind of refrains from that a little. It's sweet, but not too sweet. No, but I do judge those who drink Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi.
I prefer Pepsi. Not very often, let's see, like once a week. Coke tastes like garbage, and Pepsi is delicious. Yes, my father drinks Coke, and I judge him every time. I see him drinking Coke.
Batman or Iron Man, Superman or Thor, DC or Marvel? There's a lot of things that need to be asked when you pick one or the other. Kyle Carter gathered some who think they can argue their side the best.
So I think that DC is the far superior comic company because in every other form of media beyond movies, it does better in everything. It has better comics, I think, better storylines, has better TV shows, animation. I mean, even down to the toys, I think, are a little better. I also think that overall the characters are a little more interesting as far as just what they go through. They've also been around for longer and mean a little more to history in general.
I would probably pick a DC, just because that's what I grew up with. You see, I believe that Marvel is better when it comes to cinematic terms. And, you know, like TV shows and movies, they're much better than DC, but DC has better comics and video games.
Personally, I like Marvel because that's always what I grew up with. I always grew up watching Spider-Man, the Iron Man TV shows, and like Avengers and stuff like that. I feel like some of their heroes, not all, but some of them are more relatable in a way, I guess, because like Peter Parker, he was just a normal kid, and his uncle got killed, and he just kind of got bit by a spider, but like they're more relatable because they have personal lives and stuff like that.
Comics in general, but comic movies have really shaped cultural impact a lot in the last few years. And what do you think has led up to that?
For the past few years, more and more superhero movies have been coming out, and that's probably been giving people more interest in the actual backstories and more in-depth stories because the movies only show so much of it. So that they're like, hey, I want to learn more about this. I want to learn more about this character. So then they start like reading the comics that are coming out and whatnot.
More of that is just people have stopped sort of stereotyping everything more often than not. It's like you don't have the typical like, oh, I'm a jock, he's a nerd type of thing anymore. It's more of, oh, this looks cool, I'm gonna go see it because that's my preference, which leads to, you know, the cultural growth because people aren't stereotyping as much anymore. So it's like, oh yeah, that's cool, I'm gonna go see that, so people just do it because they do what they want.
I think that the idea of an interconnected universe has really boosted its popularity. The Marvel universe did that first and did it the best, obviously. And so that kind of concept is nice and unique, something new that people haven't seen. So I think people latched onto it really quickly because of that.
So you brought it up yourself that the reason Marvel is arguably doing much better than DC is because of their movies. That their movies are doing a lot better.
The movies are
do you think that's what DC's downfall is right now?
Yeah, because public perception is shaped by the most popular form of media, which is basically movies right now. And so right now, consistently, Marvel is doing better in their movies. Anything they put out is at least decent, whereas it's surprising when DC releases something that's good. However, I do think that still the best superhero movie of all time is The Dark Knight.
Well, the majority of that is DC has taken a much darker route when it comes to their movies, whereas Marvel is lighthearted, especially now that they're owned by Disney. So they appeal more to, you know, younger teens and children, which will then coerce their parents into going to see their movies more often than, Batman and Superman fighting to the death. That doesn't always appeal to younger audiences.
I personally think it's kind of the story to them, to the new Marvel movies, and the action scenes and the fight scenes and stuff like that, because there's so much, like, they look so cool. And the stories for Infinity War, Endgame, they're just really interesting and it's cool. But like DC movies, like, one thing I realized is they're kind of like, they jump around in the story a little bit and it's just kind of weird to follow in a way. And it's just kind of, some of the movies are just a little boring too.
So, favorite superhero and supervillain and why?
I think my favorite hero is probably Spider-Man, just because I always watched him since I was a kid, And I've read some of his comics, and I just always found him interesting. Like all the different suits he has, all the different universes he is in, and stuff like that. I think my favorite supervillain is Galactus, probably because he's the eater of worlds, and in the comics it took so much for them to actually defeat him. It actually wasn't even like the Avengers, it was actually the Silver Surfer that defeated him. It was just this huge enemy that they had to kill. But if not, the entire world would have been destroyed.
So my favorite superhero, technically he's an anti-hero. It's Red Hood from DC, just because I like the whole, good guy. He died, came back, and it's kind of twisted.
What bothers you more? That your greatest failure has returned from the grave? Or that I've become a better Batman than you? You're ruling through intimidation and murder. You're just another criminal. I'm what this city needs.
That's a cool, idea for me. My favorite supervillain, I'm gonna have to go with Reverse Flash, just because, he literally lives to torment the Flash, so he's committed. I appreciate that.
Batman is by far my favorite superhero, as I think he should be everybody's. He has the most interesting villains and stories. Like if you look up the best comic storylines, which I don't agree with it, but it's The Dark Knight Returns.
I win. I made you lose control. And they'll kill you for it.
He has the best lore and the best character. His struggles they're not as relatable, I guess, as maybe Spider-Man's, because that's a lot of people's favorite, I've noticed. You have to kind of just dig a little deeper to find his relatability, but he is very intriguing. My favorite villain is the Joker. It's mostly because he gives Batman such a big challenge. I like that dynamic where Batman is always able to figure out people, and that's how he is able to defeat his villains, because one way or another he's able to figure them out, but with Joker he can't do anything. He's just basically powerless against him.
Clubs for tomorrow are Muse with Miss Tilly at lunch in room 109, Book Club with Miss Walker at lunch in room 213, Knowledge Bowl with Mr. Graves at lunch in room 205, Card Club with Mr. Reimer after school, Diversity with Miss Jungling at lunch, FCLA with Miss Bird at lunch in room 110, and Athletic Training with Mrs. Brittany in the Athletic Training Room. Thank you so much for tuning into another video magazine. Once again, if you have any questions or story ideas, email us at kmrg@wsd3.org. And don't forget to follow us on our Instagram and Snapchat at kmrg.grizzlies. Once again, thanks for watching this video magazine, and have a great day, Mesa.